Hey guys, it's Pastor Rachel, and I'm doing today's Daily Soap, and we are looking at Isaiah chapters 5 and 6. There's a whole lot going on in these two chapters, including one of my favorite verses where we see Isaiah being commissioned, and his response to the Lord is, Here am I, send me. And there is a beautiful song about that verse, which I will put in the comments because I think it's important and we should listen to it. But that is not what I want to talk about today. In chapter 5, there's a verse that essentially says, "Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes." And in reading that passage, my mind immediately went to a musical where the guy that the musical is about, someone says in one of the songs, "Why do you assume you're the smartest in the room?" And that part of the entire musical is the one thing that really jumped out at me, because I think that I have the tendency to think that I am the smartest person in the room. In theory, I hope that I'm not alone in this, but in reality, it would be great if I was the only one who thought this way and everyone else had mastered the art of humility and the art of listening. But because I don't think that's the case, that's a little bit what I want to talk about today. This is really hard, especially the older you are, the more in theory that you know and understand. And if you're the type of person who really seeks understanding, whether that's understanding in the way that things work or understanding like how people work or whatever that is, we all feel like we are an expert in at least something. The problem is we assume that we are the only expert, when in reality, every single person is an expert in something, whether that be like tangible facts about specific things or something different. It's not up to us to decide what other people are knowledgeable about. And it can be tricky when we're in meetings and making big decisions and things like that. If you've really put in the effort to think through something, and you feel like someone throws an idea out of left field, it can be hard to approach those situations with humility. But I think the big thing for us to remember is that everyone is an expert in something, and especially every single person is an expert in their own story and their experiences, and what's happened to them in their lives. And in those moments specifically, when someone is opening up about their life and their story, our job is to listen. Sometimes our job is to fix and offer suggestions and help point someone towards growth. But more often than not, we need to understand that they are the expert in their story and we are not. And more often than not, our response when someone is being vulnerable is to listen. And that might just be the only thing that we're supposed to do in those moments. Wisdom is a wonderful and beautiful thing, but if we use it as something to hide behind or to attack people with, or as I guess just even a weapon to point out people's flaws or show them why they are wrong, we are using wisdom in a way that it was not intended to. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Definitely listen to that song, even though that's completely unrelated from what I am talking about. But just remember that everyone is an expert in something, and whether or not that's like an actual physical thing doesn't really matter. And everyone is for sure an expert in their own story. We don't get to tell people how they get to feel about their experiences. The best we have to offer is to listen and try to understand. Yeah, I'm going to pray. Jesus, thank you so much that we don't have to know everything because you do, and that you are the only person who is an expert in everything, and you have a system and a plan for the way that things work. And I know that in my own life, I lean more towards wanting to control and understand, but I pray that you would meet even just me in that, and that I would understand that it's okay to not know and to not have all of the wisdom there is to have, and that in those moments that we get to trust and depend on you. And I pray that when people are being open and vulnerable about their experiences and their stories, that we would first be people who listen and seek understanding before we think to tell people how they should feel or what they should do or what they even should have done in situations. Lord, help us to approach those situations with humility and just an understanding that we are not the expert in someone else's life. And just help us to do a better job of listening well and walking in humility. Amen. Bye, friends.